What's up, guys? Toast again from Fishyaker. Welcome back. We're officially in late December. We're only a few days away from Christmas. Got to catch up with my buddy Nick this morning and hit one of our favorite lakes. It's pretty darn cold outside. When we got up, it was probably about 32 degrees here local. Luckily, the temperature did rise a little bit by the time we got to our destination, but it was breezy. We almost hit that reset button and turned around as soon as each of us stopped to get gas. It was really gusty, super windy, but luckily the lake we went to, we were able to plan it with the wind actually being blocked by the shoreline of the side we were fishing. So we were lucky with it, and we caught a lot of fish. Basically, like last time we went there, we lost count. So, great day, super cold, was snowing outside. Fish were like in 30 feet of water. But this is one of those times when your electronics really do help you find the fish. So this morning, Nick and I caught up via telephone about 4 o'clock in the morning. We knew it was pretty darn cold outside, below freezing at that point, and it was pretty windy, but we figured, what the heck, let's go give it a try. We threw the express jet boat on the back of my truck, headed up the road. It's about an hour and a half drive from where we each lived to where we were launching. But when we got there, we were pretty surprised by the conditions. It was actually a lot calmer than we had expected, and it was a little bit warmer by the time we got there. Super surprised by it. This was one of those days where we used our electronics. We were using the Lowrance HDS Live system with the active target system on a down imaging direction, and we were essentially just cruising around looking for schools of fish. It was really obvious that we were finding these huge schools of fish. Elevated up in the higher part of the water column, we were finding yellow perch. Below that, suspended down, typically were crappie. And then on the bottom, hugging the bottom, were largemouth bass. So we caught all three species. We lost count. We're talking dozens of fish. Dozens and dozens and dozens of fish. Mostly pretty small, but we caught some nice keeper-sized largemouth in there too. But the largemouth were really, like I said, they were hugging the bottom. You could, when you felt them, their body was super cold, and they were really, a lot of them were really light colored. So you can tell this is definitely a winter pattern. And you might be wondering, how are you catching so many fish when it's snowing outside? Yep, it was snowing pretty hard on a couple of occasions, and they're so deep in the water column. Well, they were still super active, so I guess they were using those thermoclines. They're down deep, hunkered up, schooled up, and they're still actually feeding. And a lot of it might have been instinct bite. I don't really know, reactionary bite, but we were catching a lot of fish. The lures that I was primarily using were a Fish Lab guppy blade bait, one of the smaller sizes they have. I was catching fish on every single cast, for the most part, on that lure. They were just hammering it. Interesting thing was that I only caught a couple of bass on that lure. It was a smaller presentation, so I was catching everything. You name it, the little yellow perch, the big yellow perch, small crappie, large crappie, but only a few bass on that. Everything wanted a bigger presentation. So then I'm like, hey, I'm just going to wonder how it's going to work if I start throwing a lipless crankbait out there. So I picked up one of my Sargent lipless crankbaits from Thunderhawk Lures. These things are awesome. But the one I used was the rattleless. It was a silent one. This thing really produced also. The one I had was a black gold, and I was fishing it like a blade bait, almost like a Ned rig. I was casting it out, watching it go down to the bottom. Again, I'm using the fish finder, so we're actually watching the schools of fish react to these lures. And we were jigging. Sometimes we were dragging it, sometimes we were slow rolling it, sometimes we were yo-yoing it. But between the blade baits and these Sargent lipless crankbaits, we caught a ton of fish. And like I said, the bigger the lure, the more of a chance you would get this morning to catch a largemouth bass. So the bass really wanted the larger lures. Everything else, your panfish and perch, they wanted the smaller lure. But that Fish Lab guppy blade bait and the Thunderhawk Sargent produced. I mean, this is one of those days that you just go down and remember the rest of your lives, especially when you think it's just, it was pretty big snow squalls on a couple of occasions out there. It was cold. There was only one other boat on the water, saw one kayak on the water, and a couple of guys shore fishing. That was it. So we essentially had the lake all to ourselves. And for just a few days before Christmas, and catching that many fish, it was awesome. And we're going to probably get out there again in a few more days by the next weekend. Maybe even on Christmas Eve. And if we do, we'll post up. And I do some separate videos, too, on the different lures that I was using and how the presentation was. But like I said, it was slow presentations, down deep, on the bottom. And if you just want to catch a fish, just cast out and you could do a more yo-yo, faster retrieve. And you're going to catch something. You want to catch a bass, you just had to work it real slow and like kind of basically just drag it on the bottom. But they were producing. We caught a lot of fish. But enjoy the video. If you want to get out on the water and go fish sometime, drop me a line. Let me know. If you have any ideas for videos, let me know. We'll get some more on the water stuff coming to you. More product reviews posted up. Alright guys, if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the Fishyaker YouTube channel. Give us that thumbs up. Share the video on all your social media outlets. And we'll catch you on the water.
There you go. Perch. Is he on? He's on.
You got one?
Yeah. Guppy blade bait.
I'm amazed you're not getting bass on that. That's what
Everything else.
you'd be getting bass on it.
I don't think it's getting through the freaking crappie. Yeah, the crappie love this small fish lab guppy blade bait. You. Still fighting with this snag.
An ugly stick, a whole ugly stick.
Got a whole rod.
Here, hold that.
Check that out. Don't go in. No. Dude.
Fishyaker.com, the original kayak rigging video series.